President Trump is recommending Graham's sister be appointed to finish his term, which ends in January. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster will announce his choice later today.
Arlene Graham Nordone was largely raised by her brother after their parents died while both children were young, and she remained a constant presence in his life, often appearing at campaign events. A special election is set for next month to pick a new Republican nominee. Graham was running for re-election. The governor has indicated he'll fill the vacancy with a caretaker and not someone seeking the full term in November's midterm elections.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. President Trump among many paying tribute to Graham, who died over the weekend, calling him a great, kind, and smart person. Senate Majority Leader John Thune telling Fox,
I can't imagine this place without Lindsey. I can't imagine the world writ large without Lindsey for the incredible impact that he had on so many levels.
Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal says the Senate should pass a Russia sanctions bill spearheaded by Senator Graham.
Because he was an unswerving, relentless, tireless advocate for Ukraine's freedom. He saw that America's national security interest was at stake.
Blumenthal also offering reassurance to the Ukrainian American community that support for Ukraine will not fade away. The U.S. and Iran accusing each other of ceasefire violations after trading more strikes over attacks on commercial ships. President Trump telling Fox,
we're going to keep the Strait, and we'll probably run it. We'll become the guardian of the Strait. Maybe we'll call it the guardian angel of the Strait.
Also saying the U.S. should be reimbursed for security efforts in the Strait of Hormuz after insisting Iran will not be allowed to charge tolls for passage. The president also says the U.S. is reinstating a naval blockade of Iranian shipping in the Strait. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
This afternoon will bring sunny skies and hot temperatures with a high of 94. Tonight, expect clear conditions and warm weather with a low of 75. Tomorrow will be mostly sunny with sweltering heat reaching a high of 97. Wednesday will also be mostly sunny and very hot with a high of 97. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Larry Elder doesn't hear anything from the Democrats.
When people get elected who are members of the Democrat Socialists of America, when you have people denouncing capitalism and promoting socialism, free buses, free health care, free housing, national rent control. Have you heard anybody in the Democratic Party other than John Fetterman push back? Look in the mirror.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're looking for a place to grow spiritually in the middle of a busy life, intouch.org is designed for you. Explore practical, biblical teaching from Dr. Charles Stanley, daily devotionals, free study guides, and messages that speak to real-life challenges. Whether you're searching for direction, comfort, or a deeper understanding of God's Word, you'll find tools to help you take the next step. Discover resources that meet you right where you are at intouch.org.
Of all the wireless companies in America, only one has 5 stars in every category from Consumer Reports, and that company is Pure Talk. Coverage, support, value, data. 5 stars across the board. Plus, no service contracts and no cancellation fees. Just phenomenal U.S. customer service on a crazy fast 5G network. Dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to a 5-star American wireless company that won't let you down. Pure Talk.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, you need the best team on your side. Priority Tax Relief has helped thousands of Americans resolve their IRS problems and settle for pennies on the dollar. As a leading tax resolution firm, we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, hundreds of 5-star reviews, and a 4.9-star rating on Google because we deliver results and huge savings. If you owe $5,000 or more and even facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or IRS letters, call us today at 800-741-5015. Once you call, our tax professionals will call the IRS with you for free, and within minutes, start negotiating a settlement. We'll put a stop to collections and fight to get you the best settlement possible. Choose the company Americans trust most. Call Priority Tax Relief now at 800-741-5015 to see what relief you qualify for. Don't wait. Make the call. Dial 800-741-5015. Once again, that's 800-741-5015.
And now it's time for the Cat's Corner.
This is John Catsimatidis. You know that every day we are bombarded with information, whether it's ABC, CBS, NBC, but even Fox News. Something's wrong with America. But I've complained to people that we are giving the wrong people the wrong message, because those people only represent the Democratic Socialist Party, which is really 2%, 3%, 4%. I don't know what the most they ever got on a national election. America, our country, has been built by people who want to work hard. The immigrants came over and wanted to educate their kids, worked 80 hours a week, educating their kids to become bankers, lawyers, investment bankers, accountants. Let's focus on common sense instead of division. We don't have to agree on everything, but we do have to respect each other and be able to sit down at the same table and work out our differences. That is today's Cat's Corner. I'm John Catsimatidis.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
The following live program is sponsored by Breakthrough Ideas.
AM 560, The Answer. It's time for breaking news, expert insight, and informed commentary on what's happening in Springfield, Chicago, and beyond. Because an informed citizenry is the only way to protect our republic. It's time for The Real Story with Jeannie Ives and Amy Jacobson.
Well, big news over the weekend with the Senator Lindsey Graham's dying. It was a brief and a sudden illness, as reported by his people close to him. Preliminary examination findings indicate the cause was an aortic dissection resulting from arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. Something was, I think, really undetected in him. Anyway, he came back from a Ukraine trip, didn't feel well, spoke with Trump briefly, and then just hours later, he died.
Yeah, 312-642-5600. A lot of us still processing what happened. The sudden death of Senator Graham, because the fact that the day before he was in Ukraine, sealing up a deal, trying to get a ceasefire once again between Russia and Ukraine. And he was pretty pleased with his progress.
We've reached agreement with the White House on a version of the Russian sanctions bill that they will support. It means it's going to become law. So when I get back to Washington, I'm going to go with Senator Blumenthal to the Republican and Democratic leader to see if we can find time to move this Russian sanctions package that would give tools to President Trump to help end this war. There's some things we can do on the technology front to build on the lethality of Ukraine to protect itself from ballistic missile attack. If we did that, combined with creating tools to punish those countries that prop up Putin, that make money off this war, then I think we've got the best chance since I've been coming here in the last 5 years to get Putin to the peace table.
Well, Lindsey Graham really replaced John McCain, who died in 2018. He was ready to take the place of the GOP's McCain as the foremost advocate for foreign intervention. He was certainly a neoconservative. It's something that didn't sit well with many people in the Conservative Party. But let's face it, he made the right call, I believe, when it came to Iran, and he's paying for that. He was on Iran's hit list. Here is one of the things that he talked about when it came to Iran. This is a recent interview that he had with Maria Bartiromo.
Where to start? Number one, how are you going to better secure the Strait of Hormuz so that we don't see more spikes in the price of oil? Number two, are you telling us you want the United Arab Emirates and the Saudis to lash out and strike Iran right now?
I want them to get in the fight. We sell them weapons. Iran is striking their country. They have good capability. About the Strait of Hormuz, what if the regime fell? Then you never had anybody in Iran in the future that wants to close the strait. What if you had Iran with people who don't want to build a nuclear weapon to kill us all? What if you had Iran in the future that doesn't support Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis? That's where we're headed. Donald J. Trump is going to bring this terrorist regime down. We're going to have partners in Iran, and we're going to open up a gateway to peace. This won't fix itself. Every other president has talked about doing it. President Trump is in the process of doing it. They're going to lose, and we're going to win.
Israel and the United States, you just wait to see what's coming.
Okay, so a couple more things on this because I'm going to connect this locally here in just a moment. But Lindsey Graham saw this as a religious war.
This is a religious war. Who wins it at the end of the day? Do the radical Islamic terrorists who want to kill all the Jews because God told them to? Who want to kill me because I'm an infidel? Who want to purify Islam, to reject moderation and make everybody a jihadist? This is a big deal. I'll deal with Section 230. So what we're facing right now is a moment of decision that will set the course of the future of the Mideast for 1,000 years.
And that was reported from the Times of Palestine, believe it or not. So they were paying attention. And 3 months ago in April, which in Illinois is Arab American Heritage Month.
Oh, did you get my card?
No, but Bridgeview unveiled formal recognition of their home of Bridgeview as the largest Palestinian populations in the country. Now, that stirred a lot of controversy just last week when they put up the sign. Here's from ABC 7.
A sign declaring a stretch of Harlem Avenue and Bridgeview to be Little Palestine Way has been installed. There's been some controversy around the renaming. As we told you yesterday, IDOT had postponed the ceremony at the last minute. Some who helped organize the event blamed politics for the delay. So community members decided to take matters into their own hands and went ahead with the renaming. A separate sign honors 6-year-old Wadia Al-Fayumi, the Muslim boy who was killed by his family's landlord in suburban Plainfield.
So everything that Lindsey Graham was essentially fighting for, including, whether or not you're going to have Islamic radicals take over the United States, to destroy the United States, continue to chant death to America, which they have done in Chicagoland. Well, guess what? We have Little Palestine now in Bridgeview.
And at Ayatollah's funeral over the weekend, they were threatening they had signs to assassinate Trump, and kill Lindsey Graham. And that's why so many people, obviously there's going to be a toxicology report. The medical examiner said he had a torn aorta, which the reason why it's so shocking is because President Trump spoke with him 2 hours before he died.
I got a call last night sometime at, the early evening, maybe in the 7s. And he called and he said, we're all set for the Save America Act. He was pushing the Save America Act like crazy. He got back, said he just landed from Ukraine. I said, that's a long trip to make. He said, he sounded a little tired, but perfect, but a little bit tired. Had a right to be. And he was a worker. He was really a worker. But he sounded great, actually. But he actually said he was tired. But he wanted to pass the Save America Act. And I said, well, we're going to get it done, Lindsey. We're going to get it done. I'll see you soon. We thought maybe we might even meet today. And then that was it. And that was, very around the time. It couldn't have been much longer. It could have been his last call. I don't know exactly. But I got a message about 1 o'clock in the morning from one of the people at his office that he had passed away. I said, I just can't believe it. He was like a member of the family to me.
A member of the family. And he loved this country. He was a man who worked for his country and his family, and he didn't have an easy life growing up. His parents both died when he was 21, and he raised his younger sister, Darlene, on his own. And that's who President Trump wants her to take his place in the U.S. Senate. With more on this, let's welcome to the program Jeff Brincat, a Marine, a longtime supporter and regular host of the senator at his home and other places. Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Great to be with you.
Yeah. So, Jeff, give us your first impression of Lindsey Graham when you met him.
Well, the senator poured South Carolina all over you, right? He just exuded everything you would think about. If you looked up South Carolina senator in the encyclopedia in the old days, you'd see a picture of Lindsey Graham. He just was a statesman, very reasonable guy, very, very warm guy. But I would say he lived being a senator. He wasn't somebody who made his money in venture capital and decided to go into politics. It wasn't somebody who was a politician who came up, in certain ways. This guy was born to be a senator, and I would tell you that that's the way he lived that role, and the amount of respect he brought to the institution, for its procedures, for its history. It surmounted everything, and that was in dealing across the aisle. dealing with administrations. It's a testimony to the type of politician and statesman he was. He was a dire, as you know, very, very, very hard opponent of the president at certain times, campaigning. But given what you just played about what the president had to say about him, really is a testimony to, how he was able to, embrace people and become embraced by them because they recognized the absolute commitment he had to our country, not only in the Senate, but, of course, as a veteran for years and years.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, forget that he was a JAG officer in the Air Force, that he served this country before entering politics.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I got to tell you, I came across a General Petraeus email about Lindsey Graham, and he said that Senators John McCain, Joe Lieberman, and Lindsey Graham had the backs of our men and women in uniform and my back in Iraq and Afghanistan more than any other members of Congress, especially during the toughest days of the surge in Iraq in 2007. I spent many more 4th of July with them during my final decade in uniform than I did with my family. They were always out with us to celebrate that holiday and during every recess. So he was well-liked by General Petraeus. I think that says a lot.
Well, he had a dogged commitment to our troops at the ground level. And I would offer that Tim Scott, the junior senator from the same state, has the same commitment. It's something they must be putting in the water down there because these guys stand by our troops in every possible way. And they go well beyond perceiving them as instruments of policy or, foreign influence. I mean, they realize these are real men and women who are sacrificing, in every climb of their being, whatever their job is. And they deserve our respect. They deserve our support. And he lived that. Senator McCain famously said one time there's 100 senators, and he says sometimes I think about 95 of them are just there because they like hearing the word senator before their name. And he said and there's a handful that really just, they live that role. I mean, that their values are what they live in and out of that body. And I think Lindsey Graham, it would be hard to make an argument that he wasn't 100% that all the time.
No, it's so frustrating because his father died of heart disease. And you think a man of means would be getting his heart checked, seeing his cardiologist every, once a year at least, every 6 months. Is that, I know he had a torn aorta and it happened so quickly, but what message do you think this sends to men across the country that they need to see their doctor?
Probably reiterates the point that we're all basically hard-headed.
Yeah.
Number one, and that we can all do a lot better, right? And we have reasons to do better, right? We, the progress is. I guess I'm blessed and cursed to have a sister as a physician, and the progress, is epic, and we should go along with it and probably listen to a lot more of the advice we get.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite story that captures his sense of humor or personality?
I actually do, and Amy, you've probably heard this, so please excuse me for repeating myself. As you know, the first thing I said was, Senator poured South Carolina all over you. I mean, there was no chance that you would not know where he was from, and if you didn't have a South Carolina lapel pin on when you met him, he probably would give you one. And he just very, very much in every way exuded all the qualities of the Palmetto State. Well, he was at an event at my house, and we were just kind of having, and I've told this story many, many times, including introducing him at a host of events. But, we're kind of, your marking time before people get there and kick off and stuff like this. And I said to him, and this was in October, right after the Kavanaugh hearings, and I said to him, hey, you ought to come back in February. We have a great Lincoln Day dinner up here in Lake County, honoring our 16th president. Man, it's a lot of fun, and it's really just a great event, and I know everybody would love to see you. And so he said, what's the date? And I gave him the dates, and he looked at the thing. He goes, no, I'm committed, because I can't get away for that. He goes, I got something down in, my home area. And I said, oh, do you guys do a big, not really thinking because I'm a native Southerner myself. I said, well, do you guys do a big thing like for Lincoln's birthday? And he looked at me and raised an eyebrow, and he said, Jeff, we don't exactly celebrate Lincoln's birthday in South Carolina. So I would make it a point in introducing him. And of course, we both yucked it up. But I would make it a point in introducing him, wherever we were. I would tell that story, and I'd always kind of conclude by saying, let's give the warmest Land of Lincoln welcome to our great friend from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. And he would always find a lot of humor in that. He would always poke back at me about how Lincoln really wasn't from Illinois. He's from Kentucky. And I said, okay, fair point. So no, but he was that kind of guy. I mean, he just was a very, very warm guy, the first one to laugh, and find a way to make light of any situation, and really, people talk about, he was a humanist. He really was a humanist. He saw value in everybody, and he was just an absolute gentleman statesman in every possible way.
Well, Daniel McCarthy, writing in The Spectator, did a really nice job on why Lindsey Graham was always ready for war. It's worth reading. And he did note that Graham was certainly a product of his time, the Cold War, the living memory of World War II, and an era of Middle East upheavals with global consequences. And I don't know, we're getting a younger generation of Republicans in who may not believe as he did. Did he ever talk to you about where this neoconservative, foreign interventionist idea came from?
I would offer to you that he had a very, very complete understanding that it was going to be evangelicals, and I mean not to turn this into a non-secular, or secular argument, but he said, hey, our policy is, towards Israel is going to be strictly, he says if we evangelicals don't, step up for what's right morally, and not to cast this in a strict moral sense, but to say that, hey, we know it's right. We have to protect our friends. We have to protect our allies. We have to protect one democratic outpost, representative government outpost in the Middle East, such as it is. And he recognized that there were going to be sacrifices involved in that. It wasn't going to be an easy road, that there were going to be people lining up against us consistently, whether it's in North Africa, whether it's throughout the Middle East. And he was ready to starkly face those challenges. And I think he saw that as his role to live that out, and also make it visible for perhaps the next generations coming up, that, hey, these things were not won, these values we have were not won without sacrifice, without a cost in terms of blood and treasure.
Well, and certainly as a veteran himself, he did his own sacrifice in terms of showing up for the war.
Yeah. Now, you'd mentioned the Kentucky, and I know that you're friends with Senator Mitch McConnell, and I never thought Mitch McConnell would outlive Lindsey Graham. But have you been in contact with him?
I haven't been in contact with him personally for some time, but with certain members of his, circle and stuff, sure.
Yeah, but he's doing better, because I know he released a statement and a picture saying that he fell and that's why he was unconscious. So, of course, we hope and pray for him for a speedy recovery. But who do you think should replace, in the interim? Because the governor, McMaster, said that he just wants a caretaker, not someone for a permanent solution. Do you think Lindsey Graham's sister Darlene would be a good fit?
I really, as much as it's hard for anyone to find a topic that I don't have a strong opinion on, this might be the one.
Okay.
Because I really believe it's, if you look at the South Carolina Constitution and you look at the, not only the letter of the law, but the intent of what it's supposed to be. I think it's for the people of South Carolina to really say, hey, this is who it's going to be. This is who we think it's going to be. And if you remember, famously back in 2010, people talked about Ted Kennedy's seat, and Scott Brown was elected in Massachusetts because he said, hey, this isn't Ted Kennedy's seat. It's people of Massachusetts, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and people of Massachusetts seat to fill. And I would say the same thing about South Carolina. I certainly like her, but it's really for the people of South Carolina to determine what's the best fit. And I have every confidence that they're going to. I would argue. I think the senator won his last election by 43 points. I would argue that those values are so entrenched in South Carolina, and I heard Tim Scott speak on that yesterday. I think that the successor will definitely be, somebody continuing in these footsteps.
All right.
Well, thank you, Jeff, so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Marine, longtime supporter and friend of Senator Lindsey Graham, who lives here on the North Shore. Thanks, Jeff, for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for all your kind words about our friend.
All right.
We'll take your phone calls, 312-642-5600 after this break.
Don't believe the official narrative? You've got the real story on AM 560, The Answer.
What's with the ladder?
And the bowling ball.
I'm testing the unsmushable Qualix Ultrafoam in Penny Mustard's Motion Sectional.
By dropping a bowling ball on it?
Among other things.
Like what?
Let's see. Kettlebell, cinder block, giant bag of sand, tractor tire, a full set of encyclopedias.
You don't have to do this.
The Qualix Ultrafoam seats in our Motion Sectionals have already been proven to stay supportive and comfortable for the life of the sofa.
Plus, it's a motorized recliner that allows you to adjust to the exact centimeter of comfort.
If you'll excuse me, these heavy items aren't going to drop themselves.
Wait, are you also dropping a dog on the sectional?
No, that's a St. Bernard to rescue me when I get trapped under all this stuff.
The forever comfortable Motion Sectional, American-made with a solid wood frame and hundreds of fabric and leather options, starting at just $62.95 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Unsmushable versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Now that summer is here, it's time for some summer home maintenance.
That's cold.
Hot water issues? Call Center Guard Plumbing. Right now, get a new 40-gallon atmospheric vent water heater installed for just $1,295 standard installation, or a 50-gallon for $1,395 standard installation, with free haul away of your old tank. A proud sponsor of AM 560, you'll save hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on tankless and atmospheric vent water heaters with Center Guard Plumbing. Plus, get 10% off any licensed plumbing contractor competitor's price. Center Guard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon, and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive summer special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit centerguardplumbing.com.
Maybe you've thought about taking a cruise. Maybe you've even talked yourself out of it. But this is not just another vacation. This is the Gulf of America cruise. 7 days through the Caribbean with Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, Jennifer Horn, and a ship full of people who love this country. No packing and unpacking, no complicated planning, just great destinations, meaningful conversations, and a once-in-a-generation celebration of America's 250th. This November, be there. Text CRUISE to 94878 to book your cabin today.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, remembering Lindsey Graham, he was loyal to his friends and causes, and yes, we know that he was at once an anti-Trumper, but don't forget that first election, 17 people, including Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, ran against President Trump, and they eventually became allies. But Jeannie, who do you think should be the placeholder for U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham? Do you think it should be his sister, or possibly Nikki Haley, or possibly Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette?
I honestly have no opinion on this at all. None whatsoever. None at all. Zero interest. Don't even really know the players down there in South Carolina. But what I find interesting about this is just the dichotomy from what you see in Chicagoland. With all these people saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Meanwhile, you've got this Palestinian naming in Bridgeview. And then on the reverse side, you've got like the people that are supported by Palestine, the support Palestine, the Iranians who have funded their terrorist organizations. And the one are calling for death to Lindsey Graham, death to America, death to... I mean, you just had an apparent assassination attempt again. That they're keeping close-lipped on, and that they've now requested all sorts of I think they want to subpoena some New York Times reporters about essentially saying that the new Air Force One was unsecure, so they took the old Air Force One. People are suggesting that there was some sort of plot to kill the president as he was flying back from his foreign trip. I forgot where he was.
Yeah, the Israelis sounded the alarm saying that might be a trap. Even when he accepted that plane from Qatar, I'm like, I just wouldn't. I'd do it Boeing, American made.
I'm just telling you, this little Palestinian signage going up about Palestine right here in Bridgeview. I'm telling you, it's really tone deaf at this time while we're in a war against Iran, who has been funding Palestine and their terrorist operations. That's what I'm saying.
All right, you're listening to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives and Amy Jacobson.
Sean Fest returns on August 28th at the Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. Be a part of a live, on-location broadcast of The Sean Thompson Show, including a performance of the national anthem, followed by live music, food, drinks, and an opportunity to meet Sean Thompson. Registration is free. Go to 560theanswer.com/SeanFest. That's 560theanswer.com/SHAUN Fest. Sponsored in part by Class A Insurance, owned by Thomas Iacenta.
Fox News. I'm Chris Foster. President Trump says a blockade of Iranian ships is back on, and the U.S. will charge cargo ships for safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz.
The president posted that the U.S. is now going to be known as the guardian of the Hormuz Strait and charge 20% of all cargo shipped as reimbursement for providing security. Now, Iran has made it clear that they're going to fight that.
Fox's Mike Tobin. The president suggesting Lindsey Graham's sister Darlene to fill the seat left open by his death until the winner of the November election is sworn in. Republicans will have to replace Graham on that ballot.
Flags here at the White House have been lowered to half staff, and President Trump posted on Truth Social saying to honor the life of Senator Lindsey Graham, he is ordering that all American flags across the country be lowered to half staff.
Fox's Alex Hogan. One person is reported to have been killed in a shooting involving federal immigration agents in Biddeford, Maine. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, your official weather forecast.
This afternoon will be sunny and hot with a high of 94. Tonight, expect clear skies and warm temperatures with a low of 75. Tomorrow will bring mostly sunny skies with sweltering heat and a high of 97. Wednesday will also be mostly sunny and very hot with a high of 97. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature Bank. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. During a recent business transaction, I learned quickly that having the right banking partner matters. Signature Bank stepped in, took time to understand my business needs, and kept things moving. If you need a banking partner you can rely on, look for a team with real experience and a commitment to your success. For me, that's Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Foundations of Freedom, a look at America's founding principles and the leaders who shaped our nation.
Most Americans think of Abraham Lincoln and they think of the Civil War or the Emancipation. But in 1862, he signed another hugely significant piece of legislation, the Homestead Act. It offered eligible Americans up to 160 acres of land, not as a prize for the powerful, but as an opportunity for ordinary families willing to live on it, work it, and build something lasting. Why did it matter? Because Lincoln understood that freedom was not merely the absence of tyranny. Rather, freedom required responsibility, labor, stewardship, and moral courage. A free people must be given room to build, but they also must be willing to cultivate what they have been given. That still matters today. Liberty without responsibility decays. Opportunity without character collapses. Lincoln's lesson is clear. A nation stays free when its people remain willing to work, build, and steward freedom under God.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives and Amy Jacobson. Heard weekday mornings at 11 on AM 560. The Answer. AM 560. The Answer.
All right, welcome back. This is The Real Story with Jeannie and Amy. And Amy, there's a bit of good news. An abandoned baby was just saved in the state of Illinois.
It's been nearly 3 years since an infant was illegally abandoned in Illinois until June a few weeks ago. It happened in Collinsville. A newborn baby boy was found abandoned in a car seat in a parking lot. And thank goodness the baby survived, but it doesn't have to be like that. There's Save Abandoned Babies Act, and Dawn Garris, who's in charge, she's been there for 3 decades now. And she joins us now on The Real Story. Good morning, Dawn. How are you?
I'm fine, Amy. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, Jeannie and I were talking about this because we also want to promote, programs to help save lives here on AM 560. And just walk us through what happened with the baby in Collinsville.
Apparently, the baby was left in a parking lot in a car seat. The baby appeared to be under 1 month old. A little Hispanic baby boy, appeared healthy, well fed, clean, and taken care of, but left in a parking lot. And the parents disappeared. The rumor that I'm hearing is that the parents actually have left the United States.
Oh,
yeah.
jeepers.
So the chances of finding them and prosecuting them is not great. Fortunately, this little baby boy is alive and healthy. Unfortunately, what happens in a case like this with an illegal abandonment, that baby now goes into foster care. Oh. If the baby instead had been relinquished under the safe haven law, that baby would be in their forever home with their new adoptive family.
Oh, I didn't say. No, do you know how long the baby was in the car? Because it was pretty warm in certain weeks of June.
I have no idea how long the baby had been left. And, who knows? I mean, there's critters out there. I mean, who knows what could have happened to that baby? To say nothing of just being exposed to the heat and the elements.
Yeah. Are you getting the word out in the Hispanic community? I mean, do you need help with that, or how's that working?
We need help across the board. I venture to say that of your listening audience, I wonder how many know about the baby safe haven law, that it even does exist. And the law is so simple. It says that you can hand an unharmed baby 30 days old or younger to staff at any hospital, police, fire station, and you can walk away knowing that you've taken loving, responsible action and that your baby will be placed in a forever home. You can know you've done something right for your baby that you, for whatever reason, couldn't take care of. But to leave a baby unattended, most of these babies end up dead. So, I mean, I'm just so thankful this little one is alive. But it could have been so much different.
Well, the Chicago Sun-Times wrote just a couple months ago, that they were celebrating nearly 3 years without a baby being illegally abandoned, almost 25 years after the passage of the state law allowing parents to surrender infants legally to safe havens. And so that was illegally abandoned. How often does the illegal abandonment happen? And obviously it's been a while since a legal abandonment has.
Correct. And it depends. Illinois we've been really, we had gone almost 3 years without an illegal abandonment, which isn't to say it doesn't happen. It does. We've had 85 babies illegally abandoned in Illinois. But I'm also involved in this. I don't care whether the baby we save is in Chicago, in Collinsville, or our next door neighbor in Indiana, or above us in Wisconsin. We only care about saving babies across the country. And sadly, the case is that although the laws have been on the books for quite a few years now, there have still been almost 2,000 illegal abandonments, and approximately 55% of those, almost 1,000 babies, have ended up dead.
Ugh, that's nationwide.
Yes, and that is so unacceptable. There are so many people out there wanting desperately to have a baby, and they can't have them for whatever reason. So the word needs to get out there, but people don't talk about it. They think it's not going to happen in my backyard. The reality is it crosses all socioeconomic borders. When you think about it, who has the most to lose by having an illegitimate baby? Often it's the upper-class white young woman, the apple of her parents' eye. She's college-bound, if not already in college, and she is ashamed and afraid to tell somebody that she made a mistake and she's having a baby.
Yeah. I will. A couple text messages coming in. They want to know, was there any paper trace on the vehicle? What was the type of vehicle that the baby was found on? Were the windows down? And also, do we know? I mean, I think there was an assumption made here that the woman was Hispanic. Do we even know that?
We don't know it, but on the basis of what the baby appears to be.
Okay. All
we're
right.
assuming. And, and the police are very closed mouth about it. So they're not giving all of the details by any means. But it sounded like it was maybe the father. It was a male that they had seen driving away in a dark car.
So somebody must have driven with him to drop the baby off in the car, and then he got out of that car and jumped in another car and drove away?
It sounds like he had the one vehicle that he was in, maybe had the baby in that car, stopped the car, took the baby out in the car seat. I mean, it wasn't just a newborn baby put in a garbage can. Just the baby was in a car seat and dressed, etc. And then he took off.
Well,
So
that's got to be a very desperate situation to do something like that. I can't imagine doing that.
But it happens. I mean, obviously, that's why we're talking. You said 85 babies were illegally abandoned, and how many of those babies perished?
55%.
55, okay. Well, do you have a success story that you want to remind us of why you do this work and why it's so important to you?
Oh, we have so many success stories. As a matter of fact, in a couple of weeks, we have what we call our Safe Haven family picnic party. And because we know most of, or at least a lot of the families that have adopted these babies, and we get together annually. The kids get together. They call each other Safe Haven cousins.
That's awesome.
And to see these children growing up, some are in college now. And the newest baby was relinquished, let me think when that was, in April. No, I take it back. It was in February. And that new baby is going to be at our picnic. And I cannot wait to hold that baby, meet the parents, and to see the happy ever after stories that go on if people use the law and know about the law. And what's interesting is we also been able to statistics, and a number of cases, a mom will present to, say, an emergency room, saying, I've got this baby and I can't handle the situation and I want to leave the baby under the safe haven law. But she can be offered support and counseling. And sometimes it turns out that she's just in a situation where she needs some resources, counseling, and help, and is able to keep the baby and make a parenting plan with supportive services for her.
All right. You're listening to Dawn Garage. She's with Save Abandoned Babies Foundation. Dawn, your website, saveabandonedbabies.org. People can donate there. They can get resources on safe havens, education, resources for birth mothers. You have a whole library that they can peruse. And so how can people help you out? Is it through donations?
Yes, donations and volunteerism. We remain grassroots, which means that we have got for free available on the website brochures explaining the safe haven law, available, of course, in English, but also in Spanish and in Polish. People can request this material and they can distribute it where they work, their church, where their children go to school. We need people out there helping distribute this information. And we should also, if somebody's listening, there is an 800 number if you're listening and if you're in crisis or you have questions. Call 888-510-BABY, 888-510-2229. There is somebody there 24/7 to help you. Please reach out.
Dawn, the Safe Haven, the Abandoned Baby Act, the Safe Haven Act, was enacted by legislation. I have to ask this question because it brings up the next topic we're going to cover. Do you receive taxpayer funding to support your work?
Do we receive, I'm sorry, what?
Taxpayer-funded grants to support your work?
No. It is all strictly volunteer.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, and I got to tell you, I met Dawn back in 1996. You've had Save Abandoned Babies Foundation. You started it back when I worked at Channel 5, and I was so impressed, and I'm so pleased that your organization is still thriving and you're still saving babies. So thank God, and God bless you for that.
Well, we always said if we could save one baby, our work and efforts would be worth it. And now we're in hundreds and thousands nationally. So it does make a difference. We've saved so many babies and the parents from going to jail, knowing that they can go on with their life. They can know they've taken loving, responsible action, and their baby is thriving.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you do. I appreciate the fact that you have started your nonprofit, SaveAbandonedBabies.org, that you're working as diligently as you can with volunteers, because I'll tell you what, the next stuff will turn people's stomachs. When we get back from our break, we're going to discuss all the nonprofits that are receiving taxpayer money, over $700 million coming out of the state budget this year, and they don't have nearly as good of a track record as you do, nor as important of a mission. So we're going to be talking about that when we get back. Dawn, I want to thank you so much for coming on The Real Story.
Okay, it's my pleasure. We have a little tagline. Talk about it. Tell a friend. You might save a life.
Yep. And if you have a person that you know that's in need, the phone number, 888-5100. Baby Dawn Garris, thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Subscribe to the Real Story podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at 560theanswer.com.
This summer, the Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich and Pineapple Dragon Fruit and Sprite are back at Chick-fil-A.
Let me tell you about the Pineapple Dragon Fruit and Sprite. It's bright, it's bubbly, it's back.
The Honey Pepper Pimento Chicken Sandwich, it's so rich, and you can choose between the original or the spicy filet.
Ooh, boy.
And then you got those pickled jalapenos tucked right under the filet, and then just to top it all off, you've got a little honey drizzle right on top. top.
Okay, now I'm a pimento fan.
And I'm feeling the dragon fruit.
Which fan favorite will you choose? Real customers paid for their testimonials.
If you've saved $100,000 or more for retirement, call Steve Scheinman today at 833-945-7283. That's 833-WILL-SAVE. 833-WILL-SAVE. Schedule your no-cost, no-obligation retirement review and make sure your plan is built to protect what you've worked so hard to earn. And don't forget to listen to Steve's show, Protecting Your Assets, Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. right here on AM 560. Call now, 833-945-7283.
The mainstream media isn't just biased. They're hiding stories from you, deliberately. Restoration News is changing that. With elite researchers and fearless writers, Restoration News is the conservative media force fighting back in the information war for America's future. Download the Restoration News mobile app today or visit restoration-news.com. That's restoration-news.com. Real stories, real truth. It's time you knew what they don't want you to know.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, welcome back. Amy, we need to correct that phone number.
Yes, my bad. 888-510-BABY, baby. 888-510-BABY. If you know someone in need, if you're in need yourself, and you're scared, you don't know what to do, that is a great number to call. Somebody's there 24 hours a day. And again, they don't take NGO money. They're not an NGO organization. They take no taxpayer money. This is all volunteers and donations to Save Abandoned Babies Act, the Safe Haven Law.
Well, so last week, of course, big indictment handed out on Wednesday. Carol Amons, 103rd District Democrat State Representative in office since January 15th, indicted. Federal grand jury in Central Illinois indicted her for fraud, lying to the FBI, and conspiracy to obstruct justice, along with her husband, Aaron Amons, Champaign County Clerk. He was indicted on 2 counts of conspiracy to obstruct justice. And I frankly find that this is no surprise to me, honestly. And it's no surprise to me that it relates to NGO grants, because we spend hundreds of millions every year, in some years over $1 billion, to support nonprofits that provide little measurable value and have almost no oversight. And these Democrat state legislators, guess what? They're given millions of our dollars every single year to hand out entities, whether it's park districts, nonprofits, or municipalities, as they wish. And many of these Democrats, let's face it, they learned from Mike Madigan that it's okay to clout your relatives and friends into jobs supported by taxpayers, because the part of the fraud is, one, that she asked for kickbacks from nonprofits that she got state funding for, and 2, that she asked them to hire her daughter, which they did. And so you've got this huge shakedown of Carol Amons, which is good. I think it's, should have happened. But on the flip side, we need a lot more transparency when it comes to our nonprofit spending. And I put out a long piece in my Breakthrough Ideas email on Sunday. You can get that at breakthroughideas.com. You can also, because I just made it live, this is our nonprofit grants in the Illinois budget for FY 2027. It's live. You can look at it. I had my website manager take our spreadsheet, and all the grants for nonprofits this year are in there. We deleted some of the stuff that we had in previous years. We stuck to just the nonprofits, although I'm thinking of doing grants that go to specific park districts, and grants that go to specific municipalities, and grants that go to chambers of commerce, which are also nonprofits. I'm thinking of doing a separate sheets on those. But these are just just random nonprofits that you guys would have no idea how much money is being spent. 312-642-5600 if you want to weigh in that. I did pick out a few to talk about in my email. One of them that came up was this African American Family Association. And they're getting, oh gosh, how much are they getting in that one? I added it up here. Let me find it in my write-up.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll tell you, we got a text message when we were talking about Save Abandoned Babies Act and that they're not funded at all by taxpayer dollars, not an NGO. Text message from 847, Jeanne and Amy, of course they receive no funding. Governor Fatboy would never want to focus on how many illegal abandoned babies there are, and he is the abortion king. That's right, because we have abortion tourism here in Illinois.
Yeah, so the African American Family Association is getting $705,000 for just all sorts of, inconsequential things that you can't put your finger on. You go to their website and you look around and you find out that it's actually connected to a church. And I guess they're hosting, things for knitting and art classes and things like that. It's like, I'm not interested in funding that. If you want to do it on your own as a nonprofit, go ahead. I don't think our taxpayers' money should be spent on that. Or how about the Islamic Community Center of Des Plaines? They're getting $200,000. Why?
Why? For what?
I don't know, but that's just one.
I didn't even know they had an Islamic center.
Well, I could pick out the Irish Cultural Center too. They always get money. I mean, it's not just the Islamics. It's not just the African American Family Associations, but it's a lot of them. A lot of that money is going to there. How about Angel of God Resource Center? They're getting $1 million on 2 different grant lines. I mean, you can look at all this. I want people to go and look at this entire spreadsheet, and I want you to do your own research into these and send me information about what you find out. I mean, many times these are co-located. Their business address is actually a church. Their business address is actually a home. And you just got to wonder, when we're sending that kind of money to these nonprofits, what are we getting for it?
That's true. We have a budget deficit. Was it Hood Vote or what NGO were they in charge of? Yeah, no, she moved some money from one nonprofit to a nonprofit called Hood Vote. Oh my and it's just what it sounds like. It's getting out the vote in particular communities. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's not a true nonprofit. I mean, so the other problem we have with these nonprofits is, one, they should be subject to FOIA. When you're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars from the government or tens of thousands of dollars from the government, you should be subject to FOIA. We should be able to find out what the heck's going on. Otherwise, don't take the tax money. So, anyway. 312-642, that's our number. Let's go to Glenn real quick. Hi, Glenn. How are you?
Okay, I hope you guys are doing good. My question on the nonprofits is anyone looking at their 990 forms to see if they're legitimate or not? To see, if they filed all the paperwork correctly and everything on the paperwork is accurate.
Yeah. So Glenn, they have to jump through multiple hoops, or they're supposed to, according to our Grant Accountability and Transparency Act. I don't think that all that's happening. And regardless, that website is really wonky and you cannot figure it out. And they don't link to the 990s for us to actually see. But we have done that. And we've written specific stories about it. And you can also find those under our Doge IL tab on our Breakthrough Ideas website. Or you can go to dogeil.com and you can find it out as well. Is that it? Okay, let me find out here. It's dogeil.com is our website on that. And we've written stories and we've linked to 990. So you're on the right track here. But the bottom line is, why are we spending any of this money with some of these nonprofits? I don't think that that's legit at all. We'll have a lot more to talk about this. In the meantime, I want you guys to go to breakthrough-ideas.com and check out what we have there.
Yep, breakthrough-ideas.com. That is the place to go. Thank you so much for your phone call. Thank you, as always, for listening us, making us part of your morning. Have a wonderful afternoon. God bless you. God bless this state. And God bless America. We're back tomorrow. Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and last year I hired Level 10 Coatings to give my garage floor a total makeover, and I am loving it. It still looks great, shiny, and clean.